Arbor Week starts this weekend, and of course that means tree planting activities all across the state. Now, as a general rule, Arbor Week just reminds us it's time to plant trees, and most of the time on the show we've talked about planting bigger trees that are ball and burlap. But you know, a lot of people planting trees this time of year are planting seedlings like this one right here. And it can be pine seedlings, just deciduous seedlings, things that they're using for windbreaks or to reforest communities, those types of things. And let me show you some equipment that'll make it a lot easier. These are called, and it varies depending on who you're talking to, tree spades, tree spuds, dibbles, just heavy tools that you can just stick in the ground real quickly, open it up like I did, and then what you do is you just actually stick the seedling in there looking to see where it was planted. So you put it at the same depth, just like we do big trees, and you just stand up and hold it up, and you tap that in with your foot and get soil contact without really compacting it too much where to stand up. Now, obviously this is for bigger commercial type plantings where you're having to put a lot of seedlings in. It's just an easier way to do it. Now, if you don't have some of these tools, you can use just a traditional sharpshooter spade. It works the same, just opening the ground up a little bit, sticking the seedling in, getting soil contact with it. Now think about some of the places that people are planting seedlings like this. It's usually not in well-maintained landscapes. It's more along borders of existing trees or where they're trying to establish new trees. And it's real easy when the grass starts growing for the grass to take off, especially during the spring, and outgrow the seedling. And then when we get drought conditions, the grass, especially Bermuda, will hang in there, and a lot of times it stresses a seedling. The competition will really harm them. So I would strongly encourage you to put some kind of a mulch around. Now, there's a lot of work in hauling mulch in, so there's also some new products again that you can do, again more of a large scale basis. But these are mulch type products that are biodegradable. So basically the way they work is once you get the seedling in the ground, immediately you put the product on there. Now this particular one is called Brush Blanket, and you can see it has pegs that you can poke through the holes to hold it where it's a little bit more contact to keep the grass growing from around the seedling. And then there's enough pegs that you can put them out here on the end. And this will actually prevent the grass from growing in this area. Now you're probably saying, is that plastic? Well, no. Again, it's porous. It will allow moisture through, but it has enough different types of chemicals made in it to keep the grass from growing through it. And they say it will last about 3 years or long enough for the seedling to get established that it can grow up out of the grass and take off and do quite well. Now there's various styles and types of this. This is Brush Blanket. Here's one called Vispor. And again, it reminds me of a weed barrier that we use a lot in the landscape. Very porous, again, to allow oxygen and moisture through, but to keep the grass out. And that's very important, and that's a big enough area that it will work and the seedling can take off. Now, again, just common mulch will do the same thing, but if you're doing a large-scale planting for Arbor Week, these kinds of things come in handy and really are fairly inexpensive. Now, once the seedling's up like this, there's other products that are coming out on the market that are pretty nice too. Now, obviously, on a large scale, this may not be as cost-effective, but these are called tree shelters. And this particular one is called Netlon, and it's from the United Kingdom. But again, it's a tube that you stick right over the seedling. You have a stake out here, and it kind of acts as its own little greenhouse. And it protects it from wind, from transpiration so much. It also works to keep the rabbits from chewing on it. And a lot of times birds will get in there, so there's a netting that they can provide you that you place right over the top to keep birds from getting in. Now last year we planted a redbud about this time of year, one of the historical trees, and they actually told us they would not guarantee the tree unless we used one, and their product was called Tubex. I was a little hesitant at first because I didn't know what the heat would do, but I tell you that seedling took off and it grew out the top, and it grew so quickly it really surprised us. The tube's a lot bigger with our redbud, and then we had a strong storm or something and it broke the top out. But the way these are supposed to work is once a tree grows out, you leave them on, and as a tree progresses and gets bigger, this will also work to keep lawnmowers, weed eaters from hitting the bark, rabbits again from feeding on them, and eventually this too will photo degrade and break away and the tree's established. So a lot of neat things out on the market. Now if you're putting up a larger tree, a lot of times people think you automatically have to stake them. Well, if the tree is so big and top heavy and you have a small root ball that it's going to blow out of the ground, yes, you need to stake them. But just sturdy trees that really are small enough, there's no reason to be staking a tree. You need a reason to do it. And it's really exciting to see some of the stake pieces of materials that are coming out now are recycled. And this one is recycled rubber. And actually it works quite nicely because if this was your tree trunk, and again we're talking about bigger trees, you don't wrap it around, you just put it on one side. They come in different sizes depending on the size of your tree, and you use twine to go through the loops, and then you're staking it like this. With the rubber, see, there's flexibility so the tree can still move, which is important, and then you're not putting holes in the tree with eye hooks, you're not wrapping it where it will be abrasive and damage the tree. So again, that's really exciting to see those kinds of products. Now you don't have to go out and spend the money to do that, but it's optional if you have the opportunity to do it. But you can use just lawn chair netting and do the same thing. But be careful again not to get it so tight. In this, there's not as much flexibility, but the trees need to move and sway so they'll increase in circumference size. So a lot of neat things out for helping you be successful in your tree planting. And again, I encourage you to get out and plant trees, whether they're seedlings or big ones in your landscape. You've still got plenty of time, plenty of option, plenty of things to help you out.